हेलो एंड वेलकम टू आरसीआई नवशिखर चैनल। आप सभी का आरसीआई के नवशिखर चैनल में स्वागत है। आज का टॉपिक हमारा जो डिस्कशन का है वो है मैनेजिंग ऑफ स्पेशल नीड्स ऑफ चिल्ड्रन विद विजुअल इम्पेयरमेंट इन इंक्लूसिव एजुकेशन। एंड टू अडेप्ट दिस डिस्कशन वी हैव आवर एक्सपर्ट फ्रॉम एनसीईआरटी, प्रोफेसर अनीता जुल्का। वेलकम टू आरसीआई मैम।
Thank you.
For our viewers, if they want to contact any number, they can contact us at our toll-free number 1-800-11-2008. Our phone number is 265-11613. Our fax number is 265-11609. They can contact us for any of their queries or if they want to share any information with us. So as the topic says, managing special needs. That means we're talking about the special requirements of children with visual impairment. Children who have a problem in seeing, children who do not see, or children who do not have the ability to visualize the world. And these special needs are specifically for the inclusive education. Inclusive education is one where the children with visual impairment are included in the regular school, the regular classrooms. So today, ma'am, what are we going to start with?
I will be talking first about what is inclusive education, because there is a lot of confusion about inclusive education versus integrated education versus special education. So first I'll give some introduction to what we mean by inclusive education. Following this, I will also discuss what kind of visual impairments are we talking about, like how are they classified, and finally I'll be talking about the special needs of children with visual impairments and how to manage them in inclusive classroom. This briefly would be the overview of my presentation. So let me give you the overview.
You can contact us at our toll-free number 1-800-11-2008. Our phone number 265-11613. Our fax number 265-11609. You can call us to inquire about any of your queries or if you want to share any information with us. Continuing, ma'am.
Okay. The first slide I'm showing is about the overview of the presentation. Like I said just now, I just told you that it will be what is inclusive education. So first we will talk about what is inclusive education. Now inclusive education versus integrated education is one thing which everybody is talking about in the States also. They think it's the same thing. But we are signatory to declaration called the Salamanca Statement, which India has also signed. And Salamanca Statement defined inclusive education, inclusive regular schools in their own way, just to facilitate education for all. According to Salamanca Statement, in which has a number of countries as signatory, developing inclusive schools that cater for a wide range of pupils in both urban and rural areas requires the articulation of a clear and forceful policy on inclusion, together with adequate financial provision, an effective public information effort to combat prejudices and create informed and positive attitudes, an extensive program of orientation and staff training, and the provision of necessary support services. Changes in all the following aspects of schooling as well as many others are necessary to contribute to the success of inclusive schools. Curriculum, buildings, school organization, pedagogy, assessment, staffing, school ethos, and extracurricular activities. I'll be talking about all these issues and how they can be adapted to suit the needs, special needs of children with visual impairment, because our focus here in today's presentation would be children with visual impairment. Of course, when we talk about inclusive education, we don't segregate the children as visually impaired, mentally retarded, hearing impaired. We talk about all children. It has been defined as acceptance of all pupils within the mainstream education system, taught with a common framework and identified as the responsibility of all teachers. It means that children with visual impairment are not to be thought of as children of special educators. What happens generally is, when a child with visual impairment enters school, regular teachers always say, ये तो हमारा बच्चा नहीं है, ये बच्चा तो resource teacher पढ़ाएंगी. This is not what inclusive education means. It means all children studying together and all children learning together and all teachers looking after the needs of all children. It doesn't say that these children are to be looked by some special teacher and other children are to be looked by the regular teacher. So it is all children together.
So that means a regular teacher becomes a resource teacher too?
No, the regular teacher educates these children with the support of regular resource teacher. Because for teaching Braille and for teaching orientation and mobility skills like plus curriculum like this, it is not possible for a regular teacher to be trained in all these things. So it is the collaboration of special educator and regular teacher, but regular teacher is the main person responsible for these children. The special educator would provide support, but the responsibility of looking after them in the class, educating them with the support of special educator would be the responsibility of the regular teacher, like she is responsible for all other children. Now it also means that the early years, when the child is growing and developing in every way, it is important for a child with visual impairment to be involved in the seeing world. Why do we think that we should include children with visual impairment and be given an opportunity to be an equal member of the society? Segregation leads to moving away from society, and moving back to the same society sometimes becomes difficult. Now what happens is that when we segregate children with visual impairment in a special school, then they have only other children with visual impairment around them. They hardly learn much from each other. It is the seeing world they have to go into after leaving the school. It is the society which has to welcome them. They have to know the ways of society. They have to integrate themselves into the society, or the society. They have to be included in the society. So the goal of inclusive education is not only including them in schools, but finally it goes up to including them into the society. Once if you segregate them from the society, to come back into the society is a very difficult process.
They find it difficult to adapt to the environment again.
Not only for them, but also for the society. If you keep people away, I will give you an example. When I was visiting some regular schools which didn't have any child with visual impairment in the classes, I was doing this to create awareness. I felt that it is important for other children or the other sighted children in the classroom to know how these children learn. So I was visiting some regular schools and I went to a class with a Braille book and a Braille ruler, and I tried to show it, and I took a blind child with me. And I tried to ask the other children, do they know how the blind child reads and writes? The other children said that we have heard something like Braille they use in the reading and writing. I said, do you know they can read your geography books, your maths, they can see your maths books in their own way through Braille. They said, we don't know how it is done. We know there are only 6 dots and they do everything with that. So I made this child with visual impairment to open a book and read fast and loudly in front of these children. You won't believe, even I was so shocked when I saw all the other children. सारे बच्चे उस बच्चे के आसपास ऐसे इकट्ठे हो गए कि वो कोई अजूबा देख रहे हैं. It's a miracle. They felt it's a miracle. How can this happen? The child is reading with the fingers as fast as we are reading, and he's very accurate. So for the first time, in spite of reading all the time, Braille होती है, Braille से read write करते हैं, उन्होंने कभी देखा ही नहीं था. So this kind of exposure is only possible if these children are going to the regular schools. If they are segregated in special schools, the society also would not know them. They will not accept them when they grow and want to take jobs in this society. So from both the angles, for learning of the children with visual impairment and also for acceptance of society of these children as normal, earning, independent citizens of a country, it is important to facilitate inclusive education. I think this is a major benefit of inclusive education.
So like ma'am, we talk about the resource teacher and the regular teacher who's there.
Yes, yes.
The resource teacher is helping the child, or she's helping the normal teacher, the regular teacher?
Both. I would say both.
Okay.
Because if the teacher has to teach the regular child Braille, then she has to take the child out of the class for some time. If the teacher has to teach orientation and mobility skills or meet the needs of this child, then of plus curriculum, then the special teacher has to take this child out of the classroom. But supposing if the regular teacher is teaching a lesson in the class, she has to take help from a resource teacher sometimes to adapt instructions in the classroom so that this visually impaired child feel included, learn in the regular class like other children. They cannot be taught lessons and curriculum outside the class. This is the responsibility of a regular teacher, and for that she needs help of a special educator to understand how to do it. Because whatever training, कितनी भी आप ट्रेनिंग कर देंगे, कितना भी उनको सिखा देंगे, फिर भी उनको, क्योंकि हर बच्चा अलग होता है, every child is different, heterogeneity है visual impaired बच्चों के बीच में, जैसे सबके बीच में होते हैं, आपके और मेरे बीच में है, बाकी सबके बीच में भी होती है, सब भिन्न होते हैं, everybody is different. So from that perspective, I would say it is important that the special educator and a regular teacher collaborate all the time for including children with visual impairment in a regular class.
So are these teachers available the whole time of the school, or they are for particular classes only they come to the school?
There is no system like that. The policy says they should be available for 8 children, one teacher for 8 children. Now in the rural setting, the 8 children may be in 8 villages. So the teacher becomes an itinerant teacher rather than a full-time teacher. And those kind of details are, the models of inclusive education we are talking about. I think I will not concentrate on them now. I will talk about the visually impaired children. What is visual impairment? I will come to my next point. Visual impairment means children who are blind and or are having low vision. We classify them visual impairment into 2 categories in our country. We have the visually impaired children divided into either being completely blind or having low vision. We have a legislation called the Persons with Disability Act, and according to that, blindness refers to a condition where a person suffers from any of the following conditions: total absence of sight, or visual acuity not exceeding 6/60 or 20/200 Snellen in the better eye with correcting lenses, or limitations of the field of vision subtending an angle of 20 degrees or worse. Persons with low vision in the Act means a person with impairment of visual functioning even after treatment or standard refractive correction, but who uses or is potentially capable of using vision for the planning or execution of a task with appropriate assistive devices. Now, if you want to know the difference, the normal difference or a very common difference is a blind person cannot read and write using sight. We are talking here about education, so I'll limit it to that. And it means that the blind person has to use Braille as reading and writing, may have a light perception, but a blind person is not completely black. As the notion generally is that blind means no vision. There may be a slight vision, but not usable vision.
Residual vision is there.
Residual vision which cannot be used. Not in all. In some may have only just a light perception. Some may have just a hazy kind of form perception. So it differs from child to child. But basically, what a person we can see at the distance of a 6 feet, this people will be able to see at the distance of 60 feet. This kind of disparities between the sighted person and a blind person. Visual field actually means when we rotate our head in 180 degrees, that means what kind of field of vision the person can see. So both are affected, the visual acuity and also the field of vision in case of blind children. Persons with low vision have a vision which they can use using some aids and appliances. Some optic aids, some non-optical aids, but they, in spite of all that, a person with low vision generally cannot have totally perfect vision like us, even if they wear specs. That is why they are called persons with low vision. They have residual vision and they can wear spectacles, but even with spectacles, their vision cannot be 6/6. So this is the difference between a normal sighted person with spectacles and a person with low vision with spectacles. Whatever aids they are using, their vision cannot be totally corrected. They will always have some problems even with the better eye. So but they can use their vision for reading print, which can be enlarged. They can also find their way if good contrast is given, if proper lighting is there, light is there. So all these things can help them to use their vision as best as possible.
So I'm like, needs of a visually impaired and needs of a low vision patient is different. They are different completely.
Actually, first of all, I would like to, I'm sorry, but I'd like to say, let's not call them patients. They're just children we are talking about, and nobody is a patient. They're just like all of us, and the only thing is they cannot see. So they think, they eat, they drink, they play, and they want to watch movies, they want to listen to radio like us. So they are not patients. They are completely normal individuals, except for not having sight. So the special needs of children with complete blindness and children with low vision would be different in some way, because children with low vision may be able to use their vision for reading, writing, for finding their way. But children who are blind cannot use their vision at all, so they have to be given support in many ways. There could be also another classification. There are children who are blind from birth, or first few years of their life they become blind or have no vision. There are other children who become blind or have no vision later in their life. So they have some imagery left. So in that case, they have some usable vision and they have some images also, and they can function better than our children who are blind from birth. So these are the kind of classifications we have when we talk about visual impairment. And also, they have no problem with their brain. I want to emphasize this because I find that more and more people consider visual impairment related to intellectual impairment. It never happens like that. They have average intelligence or above average and below average like any other child. So vision is not, only vision is affected, and brain is only affected if they are not given the experiences they require. अगर आप कोई बच्चा जो देख नहीं सकता, आप उसको कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं समझा पा रहे, देखने से हम कई कॉन्सेप्ट समझते हैं, लेकिन जो बच्चा देख नहीं सकता और वो कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं समझ पा रहा, उसको आप नहीं समझा रहे, तो वो बच्चे का फेलियर नहीं, उसकी फेलियर ये किसका है, ये समाज का है जो उनको वो उस तरह पढ़ा नहीं पा रहा जिस तरह वो पढ़ना चाहते हैं. So this is what it is, that they can learn, they can grow, they can work like us, except for certain limitations which have to be, these special needs which have to be met.
So like in special needs we talk about, so for a child who's low vision and child who's visually impaired, the requirements will be different in classes, and so are they going to be the resource teachers provision?
You see, the thing is that requirements of every child, even without the visual problem, is different. But somehow we manage them in the same class. The requirements as far as resource support is concerned would be different, naturally, because if a person who doesn't know English would like to learn English, and a person who doesn't know Hindi would like to know Hindi, learn Hindi. In the similar way, a person who cannot see at all would need to learn Braille. But the person who can read print and use the vision using spectacles or other optical and non-optical aids would not need to learn Braille. So these kind of differences would occur. So that is why when I come to the strategies of managing, I will talk about how, you have to take a decision about every child. So this is, the needs do differ, and needs do not differ in the sense that they are additional or minus, but depending on the visual use of vision, the needs would occur and differ from each other.
So these cases, like if a regular teacher is teaching a special child, so a resource teacher will take the child in the next class and teach the same thing, or is it like only specific
Actually,
topics?
You are again talking about the models. Okay. Sometimes you can partially include them in the classroom and take them out for some other activities like teaching Braille and all. Sometimes you need to give them resource support at even the educational subjects. So it all depends on the environment and also the need of the school, how it can happen. Naturally, if you have to teach the child plus curriculum, you cannot teach them in the same class. There are models of co-teaching where both of them are in the same class, the special educator and regular teacher both teach. This is called team teaching, co-teaching. This also happens. There are models like for some activities the child comes out of the class with the special teacher in the resource room, and for some activities the child is in the classroom in the regular thing. But in our country, we cannot talk about these models so openly because we have a rural setup where 80% of these children are residing. Most of the children with disability are found in rural setting. The ratio would be 70 to 30%. And in the rural setting, we have schools with 1 or 2 classrooms. So the possibility of taking the child to a resource room and all that is very, 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 I would say, meek. So in that way, they have to make the best of whatever is available. Even under a tree, they can teach them play. So it all depends on the model or the kind of situation we are working.
So till now, we were discussing about what is inclusive education, and we defined what is visual impairment. We'll continue our discussion after a short break.
The chief handicap of the blindness is not blindness, but the attitude of seeing people towards them. आइए जानने और समझने की कोशिश करते हैं कि बधिरांधता यानी डेफ ब्लाइंडनेस क्या है। बधिरांधता एक स्थिति है जिसमें दृष्टिहीनता एवं सुनने की शक्ति में कमी आती है तथा जिससे विचारों के आदान प्रदान और रोजमर्रा की आवश्यकताओं की पूर्ति में समस्या उत्पन्न होती है। बलराम एक 9 साल का बधिरांध बच्चा है। वो एक प्री मैच्योर बच्चा है जिसका शारीरिक विकास उसकी आयु के अनुरूप नहीं हुआ था। वो एक निम्न वर्गीय श्रेणी से संबंध रखता है तथा 5 साल से लगातार नेशनल एसोसिएशन फॉर ब्लाइंड दिल्ली के प्रशिक्षण कार्यक्रम से संलग्न है। इन 5 सालों के अंतर्गत उसे रोजमर्रा के कामों में, हलन चलन में, उसकी शैक्षणिक जरूरतों के अनुसार संप्रेषण द्वारा प्रशिक्षण दिया गया है, जिससे वो इन सब क्रियाओं में स्वावलंबी बन सके। बलराम बिना किसी सहायता के चाकू से फलों को काट सकता है। उनके छिलकों को कूड़ेदान में डाल सकता है। अपने बर्तनों को खुद साफ कर सकता है। उन्हें सही जगह पर रख सकता है। सही बर्तनों का चयन करके खुद खाना खाता है। एवं पानी की बोतल निकालकर पानी भी पीता है। इन सभी क्रियाओं में वो टेक्चुअल साइन लैंग्वेज से निर्देशों को ग्रहण करता है और अपने भावों को व्यक्त करता है। टेलर फ्रेम और ब्रेलर द्वारा गणित, पठन लेखन में भी प्रशिक्षण प्राप्त कर रहा है। सभी बच्चों की तरह उसका भी एक मनपसंद खेल है। उसे सेल फोन को अपने कानों पर लगाकर उसका कंपन महसूस करना अच्छा लगता है। कहा जाता है, वॉकिंग विद अ फ्रेंड इन डार्क इज बेटर देन वॉकिंग अलोन इन लाइट। कहने का तात्पर्य है कि वो लॉन्ग केन ट्रेवल, टैक्टाइल पाथ, ट्रेलिंग और लैंडमार्क्स द्वारा हलन चलन में भी सक्षम है और व्यायाम संबंधी क्रियाएं जैसे ट्रेडमिल, स्टैटिक साइकिल का स्वचालन भी कर सकता है। कहा गया है, द बेस्ट एंड मोस्ट ब्यूटीफुल थिंग्स इन द वर्ल्ड कैन नॉट बी सीन और इवन टच्ड, दे मस्ट बी फेल्ट विद द हार्ट।
किसी की मुस्कुराहटों पे हो निसार, किसी का दर्द मिल सके तुले उधार, किसी के वास्ते हो तेरे दिल में प्यार, जीना इसी का नाम है, जीना इसी का नाम है। मान अपनी जेब से फकीर हैं, फिर भी यार दिल के हम अमीर हैं। मिटे जो प्यार के लिए वो जिंदगी, जले बहार के लिए वो जिंदगी, किसी को हो न हो हमें तो एतबार, जीना इसी का नाम है, जीना इसी का नाम है।
Welcome back after the break. Before going on to the break, we were talking about what is inclusive education. Then we had talked about the definition, how we define visual impairment. So now what are we going to discuss next?
We are going to now discuss about the special needs of children with visual impairment. Let me start with my next slide. Now, children with special needs include not only visual impairment, they also include children having hearing impairments and children with mental retardation. But here we will only talk about special needs of children with visual impairment. The main three characteristics of children with visual impairment are limited opportunities for incidental learning. This means that opportunities available in the environment may be limited for a child with visual impairment because of his or her inability to reach and learn about them by looking. He or she has to be helped through explanation and touch about various objects, concepts, and solutions of problems to make him or her more independent. Since there are gaps in knowledge, in introducing a new task, you should assume that no prior learning has taken place. Move on to advanced level only after the child has mastered the prerequisite steps. The second limitation or the second characteristic of visually impaired children would be limitation in the range and variety of experiences. This may occur not only because of limited vision, but also because of inability to freely move about in the environment. It is important to provide opportunities for learning new skills. Because of lack of visual experience, the students with visual impairments may be slower than other students, as the other students unconsciously practice new skills through visual exposure and imitation. The third characteristic is limitation in the ability to get around and interacting with the environment. Now, I talked about three limitations or three characteristics which are there in all children with visual impairment, irrespective of the degree and severity of visual impairment. The first one was limitation in the opportunities towards incidental learning. Now, incidental learning means anything which we do with vision, we take many things for granted. Like, for example, opening a door, where is the handle, where is the latch, we know it. We don't even have to look at it, and unconsciously, automatically we do a number of things because we have seen others doing it, and we know where things are there. The chair is there, it is there for sitting, and we'll go and sit in a chair. We know there is a table, we'll keep a thing on the table. We know it is there, so we will keep our stuff on it. But for children with visual impairment, they don't know. If they are not told even what is an electrical switch, they don't know how to put the electrical plug into the electrical switch. They don't know that it can be dangerous. The same way, they don't know how to open a door because they don't know what is the concept of a latch. These are incidental learning. Incidental, it means just automatically by seeing we do learn number of things imitating others, which these children do not have the opportunity to learn. And that is why everything has to be told to them. It's right from how to open a door, how to use a chair, what is the table and how it can be used above the table, what it all means. Everything has to be taught to them, because vision, which gives you nearly 80% of the information of the environment, is not there. The second characteristic, which means range and variety of experiences. Now, since they cannot move about, they cannot see, their experiences are not the same as of other children. Now, supposing I am talking about sea, Samundra. Many children would have seen sea, but these children with visual impairment do not have any exposure or experience of what a sea is like. They haven't seen it. Even if you explain it to them, they would not understand the vastness of a sea. So they have some concept of a sea, which is their own concept. And similarly about other things also, till they experience many things, like when you travel, you see so many things on the road, you see so many types of birds, so many types of animals. These experiences are not there for them. Everything has to be explained to them, that this means this, and every concept has to be enriched with a lot of information from the teachers. So this is one major limitation for children with visual impairment, and the special needs related to this, of course, in the future slides I'll take those. But these things have to be corrected, like experiences have to be provided, the experiences have to be enriched, like with concrete kind of things. If you're talking about, grass, then they have to touch the grass and know that this is what grass is. If they're talking about leaves, they have to touch and see what leaves are. So these kind of experiences have to be provided to them. The third limitation I talked about was limitation of moving around. Now, even if they can walk, even if they can crawl as a small child, they are not able to grasp objects or reach objects because they cannot see. Now, if you see a child with sight, what you see is that the child is stimulated by something in the environment, and the child will run to that. See his or her mother, run to her arms. But a child with visual impairment is scared. Imagine, he doesn't know what is left to him, right to him. His orientation in relation to space is so poor. So he'll have to be told, he'll have to be mentally making maps of wherever he is and then walking. So that is why his limitation to move about affects his cognitive development, affects his experiences, and many things, special needs in education are related to this ability of not being able to, this limitation of not being able to move around.
Ma'am, in many cases, not only does a child has a fear, but even the parents have this overprotection phase. They tend to limit the child from mobility, or even for the prestige in the society, they tend to limit, which limits the experience and the ability to grow their cognitive development.
Yeah, actually, when I come to management of special needs, I'll be talking about this. What happens is that children, teachers also and parents also are scared that these children would be hurt, or if they are allowed them to go for recreation or picnics or playing outside, they may get some injury, something may happen to them. So they tend to overprotect this child. But as a result, the child's experiences are further limited. जो वो सीख सकता है, जो वो कर सकता है, वो भी उसका प्रभावित हो जाता है. पर उसके लिए more than that, I think another effect on the child of these kind of overprotective parents and teachers is that the child's self-esteem comes down. The child starts feeling that he's not or she's not equal to others. ये बहुत बड़ा नुकसान है. बाकी नुकसान जो हैं वो हैं, लेकिन अगर किसी को ये हो कि मैं दूसरे के बराबर ना खेल सकता हूँ, ना जा सकता हूँ, ना वो सब कर सकता हूँ जो मेरे बाकी बच्चे मेरे क्लास में करते हैं, so this affects the child's self-esteem. So I think all that, the teacher has to manage, the parents have to manage, the teacher has to tell the parents about all this. So I think this is something which is very important, that the child should be given, there should be no discrimination, he should be given the same treatment as other children in the class, with of course caution. That I will tell you the strategy how to do it later. And in the next slide, I will be talking about some specific special needs as a result of these characteristics. These special needs given by Royal Victorian Institute for the Blind are visual efficiency training, basic cognitive abilities like using other senses effectively, orientation and mobility, physical development and recreation, verbal and non-verbal communication, literacy and learning media, use of technology, factual and visual graphics, study skills, career education, psychosocial development, living skills. These are the needs given by the Royal Institute, and actually all the strategies or all the managing strategies have to be used within these needs. Of course, I will not be touching all, because many of them are not related so much to education. They can also be related to rehabilitation, but majority of them I'll be touching here. What kind of special needs are there which have to be met in the areas of visual efficiency training or in the area of study skills? All this I'll be talking about here. Now, coming to the special needs within these areas of major needs, I'll talk first about physical adaptations. What kind of physical, recreational, or whatever you talked just now about picnics and overprotection will be covered under this. Now, when a child with visual impairment goes to school, the child would not be able to walk. As I said, he has a limited ability to move around because he is not able to see what is in front of him, or what is in front, where is the door, where is the corridor, where is the classroom. So the child is, a bit slow, and the child is not able to find his or her way around and has to depend on others. Generally, उसको कई लोगों से पूछना पड़ता है. और मैंने देखा है स्कूल्स में क्या होता है, कई बार इस तरह के बच्चे जब पूछते हैं, अगर टीचर्स पहले से नहीं बता के रखती, तो द अदर चिल्ड्रन बुली देम और टीज देम, उनको झूठ बोल जाते हैं, उनको तंग करते हैं, जिससे उस बच्चे की और प्रॉब्लम्स होती हैं. So, by reading this, we come to the physical adaptation. Instructing sighted students, this is for the teachers of regular school. When I talk about including children with visual impairment in the regular schools, I am talking, giving these strategies for regular teachers, because regular teachers have to include them. They have to instruct sighted students in the class to guide the blind child as per blind child's front, back or left-right requirements. Removing fragile things like flower pot from the class and ensuring there is no sharp edge or nail coming out of the furniture. Giving clear directions and developing the skills of mental mapping. Organizing the classroom by keeping things in the preset places. Familiarizing the child to new places with the help of other children. Helping the child to learn words that indicate direction like under, over, around, behind. Helping the child to learn to run and jump if she or he doesn't not know it. Establishing connectivity between distance, time and speed with which he or she moves. Explaining the need of white cane for a blind child in the whole class and to the whole school. Explaining the advantages of having white cane to the blind child and teacher to use it for using it effectively. Planning physical recreations. Now, when we come to physical adaptations, we see that the children need to move around freely. They should not be banging into pots and sharp nails and injuring themselves. So it is very important that the physical adaptations are made accordingly. I would not say that you should change the environment so much that the child is feeling, child is not able to, equate this with the normal environment. Even if you do it in the school, आपने classroom में सब कुछ जगह दे दी उसको चलने के लिए, सब कुछ हटा दिया. But when the child goes to the normal environment outside the school, the child has to face the same obstacles. Nobody will remove these obstacles from his or her way. So I would say that some adaptations have to be made, but not to that an extent कि वो बच्चा चल रहा है तो सब हट जाओ आगे से. These kind of things should not happen because the child has to move in society. So we are preparing him or her for the future, for the society. So that way, those things which can injure the child or which can, really affect his movement to a serious extent, that have to be taken care of. Another thing which we have to think about is physical recreation. Now, what happens is that when I have seen many children and schools organizing picnics and going out and participating in extracurricular activities. What happens is with these children, either they are locked in the rooms, they are asked to stay back, or they are asked to stay back with the monitor of the class or with another sighted student, or they are not able to participate in any activity, any play, any music program, anything in this thing. In those days, in that case also they are asked to stay back in the class by the teacher. This is, I'm talking about regular schools. And as a result, what happens is, I interviewed a child. मैंने उससे पूछा कि आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम है स्कूल में. दिस वाज अ रेगुलर स्कूल. और उस बच्चे ने मेरे को बताया कि मुझे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, मेरी वजह से दूसरे बच्चे को प्रॉब्लम हो जाती है. I asked him why. He says मेरी वजह से उसको मुझे देखने के लिए टीचर क्लास में छोड़ जाती है, और इसके लिए वो मेरे को क्या सोचता होगा कि इसके एक तो खुद नहीं जा सकता, उसकी वजह से मेरा भी मजा गया. So I don't want the other children also to suffer because of me. So you can understand what these children feel by being segregated. This is not inclusion. When we talk about inclusion, we are talking about participation. They have to participate not in educational activities only, but also in other activities. That's how we say they are included. If you are not having any provision for including them and you're segregating them, then it is segregation within inclusion. This is not what inclusion is all about. In no way we have to segregate these children. If they can play something, if they can participate in any program, in any capacity, let them participate. Let them be a monitor of the class also, sometime, one day. So these kind of responsibilities have to be given to them. And what I read, these kind of physical adaptations are important, like playgrounds. Now, playgrounds generally are so rough. They are, having such bad flooring, and also sometimes the children, this is true for all children, but for the visually impaired, they will not be able to see a rock. They will not be able to see some surface like that, or some, depression, koi gadda hoga, kuch hoga, to wo gir jayenge. So all these things, physical adaptations need to be done for these children. And I feel that these children are children like, any other child, and they have the right to be included in all these physical activities.
Now, but just like you mentioned about the picnic. Mm-hmm. So if you take a case where also somebody has to take care of that child.
Yes.
So that is equivalent or somewhat equal to like taking care in the class. Mm-hmm. So can't we just say like there also the responsibility is equal?
See, taking care of another, I'll show you, I'll go to another slide. Taking care of a child